Okay, starting a new clip here, starting a walk in. You've probably seen most of this, you know, before. However, it will get more interesting because the soil's quite nice and damp here too. It will keep going further. We won't stop where we normally stop, and we'll keep moving on in for 50 minutes basically. So we got to get back by 4. And maybe let's say we got to get back by 3:30. How about that? So if we time it's 2:08, so by 3 o'clock it would be 50 minutes. So another 50 minutes at 3 o'clock would be back here at 3:50, which gives us a 10-minute window to get in the car and get out. Does that sound like a plan, fellas? Nice weed. Anyway, so we'll just quickly get down past the poly pool. And once the real heavy rains get here and everything becomes damp, and as I said, once it's here, this soil will remain permanently damp right the way through until about the 3rd week of October. It may get rained on more in that intervening time and get wetter, but it will never dry out. Or if it does, and on a bad year, it never dries out for long enough for the tuberous, bulbous and corvus plants to go into dormancy usually. Anyway, I mean, I don't know, we don't have records going back hundreds of thousands of years, but you know, maybe in the distant past, 50,000 years ago, there was the odd, spell, or 50 years where one year it did that. I don't know, but whether there is any pollen record or something we can look up to find out whether that happened or not, I don't know. Whether it's necessary to do that. Sometimes it's just good to have records around. But yeah, come the crossover from June into July, we'll have the Hookery basal rosettes coming up here, and down at the water's edge this is all flooded with water. And maybe like last year even go over the road onto the other side. But I think we're making pretty good progress. I mean, we're this far in a couple of minutes. So, and of course we'll go through there as well. As I said, that was all burnt out last year, and of course they burnt right over the pig site. So that set us back basically a year, I think, a few years. I mean, you've seen those photographs and clips I had up there from 2012. How they just held off 1 year. Everyone could have got, the mountain bulb purpley red pigs, Now they'll probably have to wait a whole season to catch up, I think. So, look back on the old pipe. I like the old pipe. I like a bit of pipeage. Oh yeah, a bit of dampness in the soil there. Bodes well, looks good. But as I said, we thought the season was going to start 6 weeks early. It's come basically 3 weeks early, but it's been a weird start. First of all, we had the 4 inches of rain, so we thought, whoa, really good. Then we had another 2 sort of semi-little rains, and the 4, and the 5th one, which was supposed to be coming yesterday, didn't really arrive, in quotes. Not to the extent. And I'm just listening out for cars. There's something going on, some activity up there. We just don't want to get too close to it, I don't think. I may have to duck into the bush. I'm not doing anything wrong, but some people get a bit tetchy, They sort of take this on as like it's their own little private fiefdom sort of thing. I'm saying, yeah, well that's what land rights is all about, You got to consider this belongs to everyone. It's ours, and you should look after it, sort of thing. And you don't want to go and buggering up. So that means solar, not nuclear, because that is the nuclear source. That's the thermonuclear source we want to use. It's going to last, well, longer than your lifetime, longer than I think everyone's lifetime on this planet, I reckon. We're probably going to have to go somewhere else, fellas, but I won't be here, you won't be here, none of us are going to be here when that happens, but at least we can pass our we're living in the, even though we're living in Abbott land, we are somewhat in the digital age. We can leave our dying thoughts and aspirations to the future generations, as long as they don't wipe them out, burn them, like burning the books, or frying the SD cards. But yeah, if you walk in through there, you end up on that back end there. But it's a bit of a scramble through there, and as I said, I wasn't feeling too well. As I said, I had some more gook last night. It was only about a third as salty as the last one that burnt my arse. And yeah, I'm feeling a bit off. So I reckon I'm going to give our local gook. Maybe they've changed hands or something, or they've changed the... Well, I don't know. It didn't taste like they've changed the recipe, but I saw something online that they're using all sorts of weird things in some of these things. Like sodium hypochlorite, bleach, mild things like that, and a few other hydroponic chemicals they pick up cheaply and put them in. And I'm thinking, what? That's crazy. People get wind of that and they'll just stop buying, and if people don't buy your goods, you're out of business, basically. Yeah, bye, see you later. Anyway, we'll come back here, and there's a few red auricular, red-based auriculatas and things like that come out here. And if you find them interesting, maybe I'll make an effort to collect some seed and things like that, because as I said, I have no qualms about collecting and sending seed. I use the usual use of the rule, there's 3 seed pods. I take one, leave one for the plant, one for the environment. It ties in with the wireless rule that, they always leave more more seed into the environment, or progeny into the environment that the environment can support. Just don't take the tubers or things like that, which is the original genetic material. Just take the ones that are meant to be wasted and be involved in the survival of the fittest program. That's the way it... Anyway, I think I'll get to the crest of the hill thing here. And I didn't bring my hat because I thought, maybe I do need it. That's one thing you should have reminded me, fellas. We may be almost at the end of the May, but there's still a bit of stingage in the airage. Still a bit of stingage in the air. But we've got a few vistas anyway. And now this will look a lot better later on in the season, especially since that's been burnt. So we'll have like a transitional walks between here and in there later on in the season. Assuming that we're going to get Abbott land, back on we want to go back to being Australia. I think we're sick and tired of being at Abbott land. I think we want to go back to being the old Australia that we used to know. The land of the fair go. She'll be right, mate, but if you see someone doing it tough, you help out, sort of thing. None of this bloody 1% greedy people, doing their relatives out of their inheritance and things, and blowing all their money and going around Australia and leaving nothing for their children. That's just selfish, isn't it? I think you just keep in mind the 15% rule. I think that will be, if you can do it on 15% of what you've done, well, fair enough, that's okay. You're only blowing 15%. You've still got the other stuff to, leave behind for your dependents and other things. But just to blow it all, and then some of them actually blow it all and go on the pension. That's not what the pension is for, fellas. And then we've got people not going to be denied their access to their super, and they're saying, well, that's your money, you've worked for it. It's a contract, basically. Superannuation in a way is a contract. If you're willing to do the 9 to 5 thing for so many years and be there, it's like, being prepared to put your hand down a storm drain to save some kid from drowning, sort of thing. If you're prepared to do that, well, we invest your money wisely. And we take a fair, commission in return, a fair one. We don't just do these random fees and gouging fees and things like that. Well, then you should be able to access your money if you want to. If you not that you want to, if you want to retire early, if you need to retire early, well, we should be flexible, and say, well, this person's had a bit of a bad bad luck later on in life. You know, they've got bad genes, but because they were born this time, we didn't know about the bad genes that they had. So, you know, this disease or something that's manifested itself later on in their life, we didn't know that was going to occur. But with future generations, we can screen people and say, well, hang on, you better invest your money now this way, because we know, we can guarantee you're going to get this particular disease at this, between these sort of years, between 45 and 55, it will definitely start to happen. And if you don't believe us, we'll wait until 45. But please invest your money in this special fund that we've set up, so that by the time you get to there, you can retire at 45 and live on this special funding. In other words, you've altered your life in the early years. In other words, you've basically rewritten a new contract, sort of, in a way. I mean, that's the way it should work, you know. Fair, equitable and generous, reasonable. All these concepts that I don't think these people, I think they're basically psychopaths. Basically, they just have no concept of first of all, they don't have empathy. Of course, with all these new stuff these days, we know how we can test that. You know, you put photographs of distressed children in front of them and they don't perspire. That's how you can tell a psychopath. That's what they say now in science. If you put a photograph of a distressed child in front of a person and they don't perspire or sweat, you tick the box, they're a psychopath. That's basically, it's a yes or no thing, you know. That's it. If you perspire, you're a normal person. If you don't perspire, you're a psychopath. Simple, very simple. But the way I look at it, I'm thinking, well, that's good, because we can identify psychopaths and maybe we can actually have remedial training for them and get some benefit out of them. Or maybe make use of their psychopathic tendencies, but in a good sort of way. You know, not foist them on society to cause woe and shame and, all terrible things. You know, maybe use their psychopathic tendencies, if we can't correct them, to aid society in a way. You know, I don't know, send them behind